Good evening and welcome. I will now call the board meeting of Monday, January the 19th, 2026 to order. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territory of the Mississaugas of Scugog Islands First Nation, the Mississaugas people, and the treaty territory of the Chippewa of Georgina Islands First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. I would like to call on our Oshawa trustees to introduce and thank our musical performance guest this evening. Trustee Jacula.
Please join me in welcoming the O'Neill Chamber Choir, a 40-voice ensemble from O'Neill Collegiate in Oshawa, under the direction of Aaron Collins. The choir is comprised of students in grades 9, 10, 11, and 12 from the Regional Performing Arts Program. These enthusiastic students are dedicated to upholding the tradition of choral excellence that has been a part of O'Neill for over 40 years. They perform songs that represent various cultures and beliefs, as this exploration is crucial for broadening both students' and audiences' understanding of the world, fostering a deeper appreciation for diversity and compassion for others. The O'Neill Chamber Choir is committed to community outreach. This past fall, they performed with Heritage Brass, the Durham Youth Orchestra, at the Oshawa Bright and Merry Market, and visited seniors' residences. They are grateful for the opportunity to sing together and to share their love of choral music with you this evening through their performance of our national anthem and Walk Out on Water. Please stand for O Canada.
Walk Out on the Water is a piece we're going to sing for you. It is by the Winnipeg band Royal Canoe. This arrangement is by Young Croker Lee, a South Korean who now resides in Winnipeg. And the message is one of resilience, of keeping your head held high in times of struggle.
Ticket to play. I won't won't be walking away. I feel all the weight of the world. I won't get another one, won't get another one, won't get another one. Well, I sing hallelujah when I walk out on the water. I'm not going under. I own the space that I occupy. Oh, hallelujah. Climb up to the trees. I'm strong enough to breathe. I throw my wings like a butterfly. Everything's happening the way I want. 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 I won't go alone on the shore. Everything's happening the way I want. Through the heart, it's all through my life. Everything's happening the way I want. Wondering what all this is for. Everything's happening the way I want. Is it for you? The way I want. Everything's happening the way I want. Brother, sing hallelujah when I walk out on the water. I'm not going under. I don't feel that I can hide. Oh, hallelujah. Climb up to the trees. I'm strong enough to breathe. I throw my wings like a butterfly. Everything's happening the way I want. Everything's happening the way I want. Is everything happening the way I want? Everything's happening the way I want. Everything's happening the way I want. Everything's happening. Hear what you say or say is my cut. When the door shuts, I don't know why I'm staying. Everything's happening the way I want. Everything's happening the way I want. Is everything happening the way I want? Everything's happening the way I want. Well, let me sing hallelujah when I walk out on the water. I'm not going under. I own the space that I occupy. Oh, hallelujah. Climb up to the trees. I'm strong enough to breathe. I throw my wings like a butterfly. Well, I sing hallelujah when I walk out on the water. I'm not going under. I own the space that I occupy. Oh, hallelujah. Climb up to the trees. I'm strong enough to breathe. I throw my wings like a butterfly. Everything's happening the way I want. Everything's happening the way I want. Is everything happening the way I want? Everything's happening the way I want.
Thank you very much to the O'Neill Chamber Choir members, Aaron Collins, and their families present tonight. We appreciate you making the effort to be here during the exam period, and we hope you will join us in the future to grace us with another fabulous performance. Thank you so much.
Are there any declarations of interest? There are no declarations of interest at this time. Can I please have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda as distributed? Thank you, Trustee Cowie. Thank you, and second. Thank you, Trustee Cunningham. All in favour? The agenda is approved as distributed. I'm moving to consent agenda item 6. Is there any objection to the following matters listed in section 6 of the agenda being approved or adopted as noted on the agenda? Trustee Edwards?
Thank you. I would like to pull item 363C3 the revised trustee expense policy for a small amendment, proposed amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Edwards. Are there any other objections to the consent agenda items? Okay, so we will move the adoption of resolution from the December 10th, 2025 Governance and Policy Committee meeting, C3 revised trustee expense policy, into other items. And seeing that there are no objections, the remaining items listed on the consent agenda are approved or adopted as noted. We are now on item 7, public question period. Each question will be displayed on screen along with its response from staff. Questionnaires joining us in person and online are reminded to ask only their approved question to ensure adequate time is available for regular business at this meeting. Questions of a similar nature may be grouped together. Approved questions and their answers will be posted on the DDSB website, and all questions submitted will be shared with trustees. Supplemental or follow-up questions can be submitted to the next public question period or through the general inquiries mailbox on the DDSB website. I would now like to invite Dylan Reynolds to ask questions virtually, which will then be responded to by Associate Director Jim Markowski.
Good evening, everybody. My question tonight is about the student census. In 2019, there was this big survey that everyone participated in. I'm just wondering, what is the difference between then and now from 2019 with the new student census in 2026?
Thank you, and through you, Chair, and welcome this evening, Dylan, and thank you for your question. While the 2019 survey was the first major collection of its kind, the Student Census 3.0 in 2026 is designed to track progress and reflect the district's significant growth, which has jumped from roughly 20,000 students back in 2019, and we're now clearly over 80,000 students today. The core difference is that while the questions and format remain identical to ensure accurate data comparison over time, the 2026 census places a much stronger emphasis on increasing participation rates to ensure that the data is as rich as possible. By doing this, we can specifically measure how student experiences and barriers to success have evolved over the last 7 years, allowing adjustments in programs and initiatives that support our multi-year strategic plan to better serve all our students in our district. And again, thank you for the question this evening.
Yeah, and we're also going to say welcome to 2026, which is also an election year with the municipal elections in October. And have a nice day, everybody, and see you guys in February 18th.
Thank you, Dylan. Thank you. That includes public question period. We are now on item 8, the Chair's update. On behalf of the trustees, I am pleased to share the Chair's update with you tonight. Ahead of the winter break, Trustee Pinello attended Eastdale CVI Winter Concert and Art Show. It was a wonderful evening of visual and musical arts with students of all ages showcasing their incredible talents. With 2026 now upon us, there are plenty of upcoming events we are looking forward to. On January 29th, Vice Chair Oldfield and I will resume the SCC listening tour with a visit to Vimy Ridge Public School in Ajax. On February 19th, Trustee Morton will join the excitement at Uxbridge Secondary School for the annual Inclusive Baking Skills Competition, a celebration of creativity and culinary talents. This unique event led by the culinary program teacher David Brown showcases the incredible skills of students in an inclusive and supportive environment. Around the same time, students across Ontario will also be gearing up for regional skills competitions, paving the way to the prestigious Skills Ontario competition in early May. And on May 5th, we will celebrate the 40th anniversary of Student Recognition Night. For 40 years, Student Recognition Night has been an opportunity for each DDSB secondary school to highlight and honor up to 3 students who have overcome challenges to getting across their stage and flourishing as part of their school and or community. That concludes the Chair's update. So item 9, the multi-year strategic plan system update. I will now ask the Director to share this month's multi-year strategic plan system update.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, we will ask our media team to press play, and the multi-year strategic plan update will be shared with you.
And foster positive relationships for student success and well-being. We're excited to share a sample of stories that highlight our multi-year strategic plan pillar of well-being. 6 DDSB Empower Excellence schools are currently in the 3rd year of a partnership with Apple Schools. Apple Schools is a Canadian nonprofit empowering school communities to prioritize health and wellness and promote healthy eating, active living, and mental well-being. Students recently received a gift of 260 backpacks filled with school supplies. The DDSB Youth Liaison Worker Program continues to make a significant impact on our students, especially those that are looking for extra support. This program, along with community resources, has helped build networks, strengthen skills, and foster positive relationships for student success and well-being. Across DDSB, communities came together to celebrate the vibrant diversity that strengthens our system. We honored Hindu culture through captivating performances, delicious food, and rich historical sharings led by the Durham Educators of South Asians, DENZA, and the Hindu Affinity Network of Durham, HAND. Thanks to Shalom Durham, we experienced the joy of Jewish traditions through a meaningful Lakha celebration. These moments reflected a shared commitment to learning from one another and celebrating the cultures that make our communities thrive. Our well-being facilitators support educators to develop strong knowledge and evidence-informed practices related to promoting a positive school climate and prioritizing mental health for every student. The focus of the role has been on educator capacity building to embed mental health promotion as part of their daily instructional practices. Across Durham, our schools, staff, families, and community partners are coming together with incredible generosity to make the holidays brighter for those who need it most in our community. Through IDLF's Ignite the Holidays program, this collective care is turning compassion into action by providing thoughtful gifts, warm winter clothing, groceries, and essential supports, ensuring children, youth, and their families feel seen, supported, and uplifted during a challenging season. The next student census survey that will take place this year provides an opportunity for students to share valuable information that helps us better understand our communities, identify barriers to success, and improve student engagement and well-being. This important survey allows our students to help shape experiences and outcomes that allow everyone to thrive. Sewing Studio Week at R.H. Cornish Public School showed how powerful learning can be when creativity, collaboration, and care come together. As students stitched and problem-solved side by side, They learned that words of encouragement build confidence, strengthen connections, and help create a school community where everyone feels valued and inspired.
Thank you to Natalie from Ajax High School for reading this month's MYSP update.
We will now move to recommended actions. Agenda item 10A, Special Education Advisory Committee, SEAC members at large, Trustee Edwards, Linton and Miller. But I will go to Trustee Edwards.
Thank you. As the board might be aware, one of our members at large moved on to one of the association positions. So there was an application that was sent out to solicit candidates to fill that member at large position. A working group was formed from SEAC, and the working group, we received approximately 70 applicants for this member at large position. The group reviewed, and it was really a tough decision because we had such a great number of candidates that had skill sets and knowledge that enhanced the existing knowledge of the members around the table. With that being said, the SEAC would like that the Board of Trustees approve the SEAC recommendation that candidate Lyle Williams be approved as the representative for a member at large.
Thank you. Do we have a seconder for that motion? Thank you, Trustee Linton. Would anyone like to speak to this motion or ask questions before we vote? Okay, thank you. All in favour? Any opposed? Thank you. That motion is carried. We will now go to item B, the items removed from the list of consent agenda items, the revised trustee expense policy. I'm going to ask Trustee Edwards, who removed the consent agenda item, to speak first.
Thank you. I know I had raised this concern actually at the policy meeting, and I thought very, very hard about it, and I thought it was important to make this slight amendment to Section 5 of the application and the scope. Right now, it says the policy applies to trustees and established parameters for expenditures that are eligible for reimbursement when incurred in the role of trustees. I think it is important to include, as defined under Section 169.1 of the Education Act, which explicitly defines the role of trustee. Although the trustees around here, are seasoned trustees, when we move into it, I think it's really important to make it clarify that when we are putting in our expenditures and or eligible reimbursement, that is specific to the role that we are legislated to act upon. So I'm asking for basically to add an amendment of the words on section, the paragraph of application of scope, Section 5, as defined under Section 169.1 of the Education Act.
May I have a seconder for the amendment? Trustee Linton? Thank you. I will now move to ask Councillor Cotter for his comments.
Thank you, Chair Brown, and through you. Just looking at the Education Act, Trustee Edwards, and the amendment, it's just a potential suggestion for you and the other members to consider. Section 218.1 of the Education Act may be a slightly better reference. It specifically sets out the duties of board members, and paragraph A incorporates everything that's listed in section 169.1. Section A of 218.1 says the members are to carry out responsibilities in a manner that assists the board in fulfilling its duties under this act, the regulations, and the guidelines issued under this act, including but not limited to the board's duties under section 169.1. And then there are some additional duties such as participate in meetings of the board, meet with parents, students, and supporters, etc. So the board may wish to consider making the reference to 218.1 rather than 169.1. Thank you.
Trustee Edwards?
Sorry, I agree. That was the one that I originally had in there from when I was talking about governance, and I totally forgot about that one. I appreciate that reminder. Council Calder, I agreed. Section 218.1 should be in there. Thank you.
So, Chair Brown, I think you'll need an amendment, a motion to amend the amendment, because it was already, the 169.1 was already on the floor. I suppose there's probably no objection, so you may, Chair Brown, just ask if there's any objection to that change being made, and then having the vote on the amendment.
Thank you, Councillor Cotter. Are there any objections to the amendment presented? Is there any discussion or questions regarding the motion presented as amended? Seeing none, all those in favour? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, we will now move to information items. We have a few. Okay, so we will move to information items. 11A, 2024-25 Durham Student Transportation Services Annual Report. And I will ask Associate Director Lisa Bianca and DSTS CAO Kelly Mashulin.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I'd like to introduce Kelly Mashulin to share the report with trustees this evening.
Hello, thank you for having me this evening. Enclosed on page 15 of the board agenda is the DSTS annual report, or at least the beginning of it. Each year, DSTS publishes an annual report on our operations. This report outlines key indicators such as our fleet utilization for the school year, and this school year enclosed here is 24-25, ride times, and overall ridership per area. Additionally, the report covers key policy pieces and the safety training provided to our partner board students. The report's generated each year and presented to the DSTS Governance Committee, along with both partner boards. And once this is completed, DSTS posts on our website the annual report, along with several previous years. Happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Are there any questions from trustees? Thank you, Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I have 2 questions. The first one is about the student safety programs. So I asked my son, a 4th grader, if he knew about Buster the Bus, and he was very excited to tell me all about Buster the Bus, which he described as an interactive experience, and then found me website links to teach me more. But neither he nor my 9th grader were able to tell me much about the Rider Role Model program, and I just wondered overall, how effective are these programs at boosting safety? And my second question was about the request to review bus stop locations. I know that's something I've heard about from parents in the past, but I've never seen one be approved. So I was just wondering how often that happens. Thank you.
The first question about the safety training, so that you're right, there's 2 sets of safety training that happens. The Buster the Bus is for the younger elementary students, and the role model program is offered for the older elementary students. The older one is usually like they try to change it as much as they possibly can, but it's like a game show or quiz. It tries to be as interactive as possible. This safety training that we offer is actually ministry endorsed. It's also through the OECM that this provider has been secured. So several of the other consortiums throughout the province utilize the same programs as well. We do receive feedback as well from the schools on the training, and that feedback's consolidated, taken into account by Intertrain, the company that hosts the program, but also the feedback is disseminated to DSTS for further feedback or comment if required and necessary. So the bus stop, okay. So we usually at the beginning of the school year, we receive several hundred, sometimes several thousands of requests for bus stop reviews. Those we ask that they be submitted through our website. We ask for that because it's date time stamped, and then we're able to review in order that we receive them. Those are reviewed by staff. Usually the common stop locations are utilized by 6 to 8 schools. They're utilized by several hundred students. So actually customizing or changing a bus stop location based on one request becomes a bit challenging. The other piece is when we're establishing these bus stops, we're looking at many things. So we try to use parks, green spaces, mailboxes, any kind of identifier, any place where there's extra room for students to gather as well, because some of these bus stops can be used from anywhere from 20 to 30, 40 students, depending upon the concentration of students within the neighborhood. So those are parameters that we're looking at as well when we're establishing them. The ones that you'll see changed or review are usually when a parent, because we have several thousand bus stops throughout Durham, when a parent's highlighting some sort of safety concern related to that bus stop location, we'll go out and review and take that feedback and those comments into consideration when establishing the bus stop locations. The other thing that we do try to avoid is stopping on the busier roads. Stopping on roadways that are 4 lanes of traffic. It's just very challenging or next to impossible to activate the lights on the bus and stop all of the traffic. So those are just some other considerations, because as Durham's been growing, our traffic, as you've all probably noticed, is growing as well. So we have to take that into consideration when we're establishing bus stop locations as well. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. We will now go to Trustee Edwards.
Thank you, and thank you for the comprehensive report. I really actually kind of enjoy reading your report every year because it does give valid information that I can relay to constituents and to our parents and students. I just had a question around, because we know that you do mention the percentages on page 27 as far as the number of multiple schools serviced as far as dedicated versus multi. I'm just wondering if the percentage of multiple runs basically has increased basically from the previous year, because I know you're always looking at utilization. I have a second question, but that's the first one.
I think every year our tiering has been going up, but to be honest, I don't have the report for last year in front of me, but just anecdotally, I know that we are tiering more and more effectively each year wherever we possibly can. The only challenge we have with tiering is sometimes traffic. You know, we'll tier a bus going to 3 schools one year, but if the traffic patterns have changed, the traffic around the school has changed, that tier may not work the same as it did the year before. And we are finding that quite a bit with the additional traffic in Durham on the roadways, that sometimes a tier that we had 2 years ago, last year, just isn't working anymore, the timings. So that's something we take into consideration when we're routing the buses. But every effort's made to tier the vehicles wherever possible.
Thank you. And my other question is that, you know, according to the SB memos around basically submitting our route simulations, it specifically asked, I think in 2024, for all boards to have an opting in and out policy, and that the policy had to be put into place by basically for next school year. I'm just wondering if that policy has been developed, because I know it isn't in the bylaws, or is it we're looking forward to seeing that come forward?
So we've been utilizing a practice by which if a parent is not going to use our services, that they can contact the school or DSTS directly and ask to be coded what we call a non-rider, which means that they won't be routed on the vehicle. Beyond that, what has been happening is we now issue transportation cards to all eligible students. We're fully implemented on our 70 passengers, and we're starting the process of implementing on our 18 passengers as well. And if a student, when the student taps on and taps off, it's taking attendance for when the student is riding. So if we have a student who is not riding consistently, they will be coded a non-rider on the vehicle, and notification is sent to the family that we know that we manifested you on the vehicle, however, you have not been riding, so you have been removed from the manifest. But if you would like to contact DSTS in the future and be rerouted on the vehicle, you're more than welcome to, or they can notify the school directly. So it's more of a passive process that we've been using, but that's how we go about our ridership statistics.
Trustee Moulton?
Thank you, and through you. Welcome, Kelly. Thank you for being here, and thank you for providing us with a very informative report. I know that an issue came to your table last Friday. You were made aware of a safety issue in the north. A local resident connected with me and said, is there evidence do our buses have dash cams to record this sort of thing? And I couldn't answer her. I don't know if we have dash cams or not.
No, there is not dash cams on the school buses.
Thank you. I will keep her informed then. Thanks.
Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you, Chair, and through you. Welcome, Kelly. I just wanted to comment on the fact that there are so many variables that you have to consider doing your job. The tremendous amount of increased traffic on the roads, the construction at different times of the year. I know it impacts the work that you do. I just want to thank you for, I know from my own experience, getting back to me so quickly with emails that I send through. So my comment is just a thank you.
No further questions. Thank you so much, Kelly. Oh, we have one more. Trustee Pinello.
Thank you, Chair, through you, and thank you very much for the report and for being here. My question, I was listening first because similar to Trustee Morton, last year there was a number of emails that Oshawa trustees received pertaining to new development areas. And at the time, I believe it was a lack of sidewalks, which made it difficult for bus stops to be identified and for students and their families to feel safe having them navigate to and from the bus stops. And so in hearing what your process is for, when families submit for reconsideration and those things, I guess I'm wondering, since you have the data that's time-stamped, what would you say is typically the fastest that emerging situations like that can be handled? Because obviously that was a more imminent safety issue that seemingly was recognized only at the start of the school year and was, to my knowledge at least, remedied fairly quickly. But in situations like that and moving forward, are there new strategies that you're using, particularly in areas where we are seeing high rates of new development in varying degrees of finished neighborhoods where you have to identify pickup locations?
So when it comes to new developments, DSTS works very closely with the cities and townships and even the site managers in those construction areas. Those construction areas are continuously reviewed by our staff. So we're always reviewing them. This morning we were out reviewing 2 new areas just to see what where the progress of the construction was. So it's ongoing, but we're aware of most of the new developments and construction and are reviewing them continuously. Families can always escalate a concern to concerns@dsts.on.ca. That is monitored, daily. For parent concerns that they would like to have escalated.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from trustees? I will now move to 11B. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Sorry, I forgot to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. 11B, 2025-2026 Supplementary Fund Summary, and I will go to Associate Director Lisa Bianca.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, I'm pleased to introduce Jennifer Machen, Senior Manager of Finance, to share the report with us this evening.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide trustees with an update on details of supplementary funding that has been announced or received to date for the school year 25-26. Supplementary funding initiatives are all governed by agreements that outline the purpose of the funding, expectations for use, and specific accountability requirements. These grants are enveloped in that any unspent funding have to be returned to the source. The 2025-26 supplementary funding list of grants announced or received to date in the amount of $11.2 million is attached as Appendix A on page 34 of the package. This report is provided to the trustees for information, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from trustees? Trustee Edwards?
Thank you. And I noticed that basically in our grants that we have actually decreased because of the around experience. Yet when it comes to the new teachers induction program, we've also seemed to, if I'm reading this wrong, but we also seem to have a decrease as well. Yet that kind of doesn't jive to me. Could you explain that a little bit further for me? Thank you.
So the supplementary funding that we receive for the NTIP that's included in this report, unfortunately, is not directly linked to the number of teachers in the same way the qualifications and experience table is.
Trustee Morton?
Thank you, and through you. I don't have a question, I just have a comment. So I'm looking at the amounts, and I am very impressed that the reading interventions, the math achievement action plan, and the language instruction for newcomers to Canada are all very valid and very much appreciated, so I'm thankful for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? I will move to 11C, which is the 2025-26 Interim Financial Report, Quarter 1, and Associate Director Lisa Bianca.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And once again, I'll turn the mic over to Jennifer Machin, Senior Manager of Finance.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to provide trustees with details on revised estimates and Q1 financial reports as part of the DDSB annual financial reporting cycle. On page 38 of the package and 4 of 7 on the report, we're going to look at section 6.2 operating revenue. So for the 25-26 revised estimates, overall revenue decreased by $7.2 million from our initial estimates. This decrease was attributed to reduced funding due to enrollment and salary and benefit changes. This was offset by other changes such as use of accumulated surplus and interest revenue. Now, the main enrollment change was our overall enrollment of pupils of the board. They decreased by over 700 ADE, which had the largest enrollment change and had a negative effect on revenue. On page 39 of the report, there's a description of the qualifications and experience decrease we were just referring to. This is a decrease in funding to reflect the hiring of teachers and early childhood educators with less experience and qualifications than anticipated during the original budget process. And you'll notice when we move to the expenditures section, this will be balanced by a corresponding decrease in expenditures for salaries. So in order to balance the budget at revised estimates, we are using $8.7 million from our accumulated surplus. And this is largely due to a result of financing the education development charges deficit. And again, I'll touch on that a little bit further in the expenditures section. The expenditures for the 25-26 revised estimates also decreased by $7.2 million to match the decrease in revenue. This change was driven by salary and benefit changes and other changes, including education development charges interest, transportation, and enveloping. The compensation decrease was a decrease in our expenditures to reflect the hiring of less qualified teachers and ECEs, and this is again just lower than what was anticipated during the budget process. Because enrollment decreased, staff levels were adjusted to reflect this decrease in enrollment as well. And if you look on page 40, there is also a decrease in our enrollment-based central budgets. Supply coverage was actually increased in our budget by $3.2 million, and this is as a result of our actual expenditures, which were higher than estimated for the 24-25 school year. As a result of the legislative rate cap imposed by the ministry, we added $8.7 million in interest to the revised estimates budget, and this increase is due to the significant growing increase in our overall EDC deficit. We were lucky to be able to adjust transportation down by $2.7 million, and this was to adjust our expenditures to the current DSTS budget estimate that has updated routing information from our initial estimate in the spring. Again, on page 40, 6.4 capital budget, you'll see similar to previous years, our capital budget items have been updated to reflect adjusted timelines and revised funding allocations. I'll draw your attention, though, to two new grants that were received after our estimates budgeting in the spring, the accessibility funding and the reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete replacement funding, both included in the school condition improvement grant. Our overall operating expenditures for the period ending November 30th, 2025, or Q1, are 25.2% of our revised estimates budget. This is actually slightly lower than previous year, in which 25.6% was spent at Q1. As such, it is estimated that operating expenditures for current year will be on target, and I would reference Appendix D for Q1 operating expenditure details located on page 46 of the package. This report is provided to trustees for information, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from trustees? Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you, Chair. Jennifer, I'm just on page 38 of the package, section 6.2, and I'm just looking at the estimates and then the revised estimates for enrollment. And the elementary enrollment was down just over 200 students, secondary just around 500 students. This then resulted in about 15 full-time equivalent elementary teachers and approximately 19 secondary teachers. I'm just wondering if that would be considered an issue around estimates, or if I'm sure there's been some kind of debrief there. I'm not even sure if it's an operations question, but is there consideration been given then to how we can avoid this kind of discrepancy going forward?
If you don't mind, Chair, I'll take the question. Thank you, Trustee Thatcher. Certainly, as the pace of development continues to slow in Durham Region, we are adjusting our enrollment projections, our annual enrollment projections every year. The last 2 years, we've relied on municipal forecasts and other predictors of development, including even the issuance of building permits. What we are finding is, as the economy continues to struggle a little, that those housing starts are not happening, and without that, we are not getting the students in the timeline that we were expecting or projecting. We do know they're coming. They aren't coming in the timeline that we were expecting. With that in mind, particularly this year, we're currently in the process of developing the draft enrollment projections. We are certainly taking a very conservative approach in developing our numbers now, knowing what type of impact it can have to the overall budget. I hope that answers the question.
Trustee Morton?
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, for being here and for providing the report. I'm looking at the facility upgrades, and I'm seeing that those upgrades are much higher in cost than anticipated by about $38 million. Could you give us a brief explanation as to why that is? It's on page 45. Appendix C.
Okay, thank you. I'll take the question if I can, Madam Chair, and through you. As much as anything, well, part of the increase is the additional funding that we received for the reinforced autoclaved concrete projects, as well as the accessibility projects. Those were late arriving grants. Having said that, the other increases are just the pace of projects. So we were able to get more projects completed during the time allotted, which is reflected in the revised estimates. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Trustee Miller?
Thank you, and through you, Chair, and thank you for the report. I'm just looking at the section of 41, page 41 in our package, under the risk opportunities. And I'm really happy that we were able to offset our, the deficit balance in the budget, but I'm just wondering for future, knowing that we were able to use the accumulated surplus, thinking about the future, what other options or where are we at in terms of opportunities to, in terms of using our reserves or maybe expenditure cutting to help us keep within a balanced budget?
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Yes, certainly the use of accumulated surplus is not a long-term solution, and we need to look at anything like the EDC deficit for interest that could be a structural, long-term strain on our resources. So certainly going into the next year, looking at really all of our spend and where areas potentially in the past we haven't taken a hard look, it gives us a very good incentive to do so in the next year. Having said that, as we've looked at our budget and our spending before, there is only a certain amount of discretionary funding that we do have the ability to look at and choose to use in a different way. So I think going forward, looking at this EDC interest is going to be really crucial for our board to maintain operations going forward.
Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you, Chair. I'm also looking on page 45, and I'm looking at the total facility upgrades. And as mentioned already by Trustee Morton, the estimate cost moved from approximately 30 million to approximately 68 million. I just wanted to confirm that those upgrades would have been upgrades in our schools? Would that just in our schools? That's my question.
Thank you for your question, through you, Madam Chair. Yes, they are upgrades in the schools.
Okay. Would not include the board office?
No,
Okay.
it's that would be separate funding.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions from trustees? Seeing none, thank you, Jennifer Viking and Associate Director, Lisa Bianca.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. Quite happy to be here this evening to share an update on construction and development activities since our last report in September. The DDSB currently has Ministry of Education approval to construct 8 new schools, which are opening between this past September 2025 and into 2028. In addition, on October 8th, the Ministry of Education received submissions from school boards for the 2025-2026 Capital Priorities Program for future builds. DDSB's 4 submitted projects are shared on page 48 of your package. As a construction update, our newest secondary school, unnamed Oshawa Secondary, continues to make good progress towards its intended opening in September 2026.
We're currently working on interior rough-ins and moving towards finishing over the spring. Construction is well underway on the 3 new elementary schools, 2 of which are in West Whitby, 1 in North Oshawa. All 3 projects are well under construction and working towards fall 2026 openings. 2 of the 3 will maintain their September 2026 opening schedules. However, unnamed West Whitby, Cisco, and Limoges experienced a later start than the other 2 builds. And after reviewing the schedule with the contractor and exploring every opportunity to find efficiencies and improvements to the schedule, the difficult decision was made to change the scheduled opening to October 2026. Staff and facilities and school operations are working to define a plan to accommodate the students for this school using our school within our school model, and they will be accommodated at other Whitby schools until the new school opens its doors in October. Further updates will be shared with trustees and the community throughout the spring, and following the completion of the boundary consultation process. So we have to complete the boundary consultation process so that we know what families we are reaching out to, but we want to share this information early and clearly so that families have many months to plan. It is a relatively short delay. However, every delay impacts every family, and we want people to have the greatest amount of time to manage this. The remaining 2 capital projects, unnamed West Whitby Secondary and unnamed Northeast Oshawa Public School, will continue through the municipal approvals process, and a successful tender was completed for unnamed Northeast Oshawa. It was completed in late fall, and we are expecting construction to begin as early in the spring as the snow will allow us to. The Ministry of Education also provides 2 grants to fund renovations and building improvements, school renewal and school condition improvement, and the projects that were identified in the 2025-2026 budget book are all in development at this time. They will be using annual capital funds in the amount of about $30.3 million for the projects that are listed. As always, the quarterly construction report and all past reports, quarterly reports, will be found on the DDSB's website and are open and available for families and community members to always have current information on our capital works. With that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Trustee Thatcher.
Thank you, Chair. The delay for Cisco and Limoges is unfortunate, but not unexpected, because there was quite a delay in the startup of the project. So hopefully, as you say, it's just a short delay, and hopefully it does work out to be that. That's just hope. I think there was a comment made in here about approval to proceed to tender, and that it would help us in reducing delay times. It would, and I'm just wondering, would you have any idea what kind of time would be safe for that, just roughly?
Thank you for your question, and through you, Madam Chair. So there are 2 streams that approval to proceed to tender can take with the Ministry of Education. If the estimated cost, and we always have an estimated construction cost produced by a cost consultant, as long as that estimated cost falls within the approved budget, the money that was agreed to with the ministry, we simply notify the ministry, and within approximately 5 days, we are given the go-ahead to proceed to tender. If the cost consultant report comes back and it can't be accommodated within the approved budget, then we do have to go back to the ministry, and it can be several weeks before we are able to either secure additional funding or adjust the project to fit within the envelope. So we're fortunate that up until this point in time, we've been on the 5-day turnaround. But again, each project is on its own, and we may encounter that going forward.
Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I'm very excited to see that we submitted for 2 new Pickering schools coming up into this current round. I just wanted to ask about number 4, the unnamed Pickering Public School on Kingston Road. So I'm trying to think of where that might go on Kingston Road, but I'm also wondering, it's a very busy street. And we just heard from DSTS about trying not to have students cross streets with 4 lanes, which of course Kingston is. So for students who walk rather than take the bus, especially elementary, I'm just wondering what kind of safety measures we're looking at with the street right on Kingston, or a school right on Kingston.
Great, thank you for your question. So the unnamed Pickering Public School, Kingston Road, is our first application for what's called a podium school. So it will be a school located within a much larger development. I believe there's about 14 towers ultimately planned for that site. And it's roughly sort of south of Kingston Road, sort of where the Home Depot and that sort of stretch of commercial is right now. So the anticipation is that the vast majority of students attending that school will live in those condo towers and take an elevator down to go to school. Thank you.
Trustee Edwards.
Thank you. And in reviewing first I have to say that these reports are fantastic, because especially that they're posted, because I can pull stuff off of them with people with questions, so it's really great. But and as I said, other boards, trustees from other boards have really praised these reports, thinking they're great. So I have to reiterate that. But I do have a question around the unnamed West Whitby, Caskill Crescent and Coronation Road. It does have a comment in there that that you're continuing to do the work, but conditional on building permits is that are still in place. They're conditional on that's still in place. Is there an issue with building permits and also that the fact you have to finalize the site plan agreement? Will there be any issues in delaying that project because of that, compared to other projects where we already have the site plan agreement and stuff in place?
Great, thank you for your question, and actually thank you for pointing that out. Because the timing of these reports are done a week or 2 ahead of time, I'm really happy to report that since we put this in, we have received our full site plan agreement and we are in receipt of our full permit. The process that we use, again, is the staged permits, because it allows us to start early and then to keep moving forward, rather than, we're generally halfway done the building by the time we get the full building permit, but that means we are inspected the whole way. So happy to report both are in hand now.
Thank you. See no further questions. I will move to 11E, the student census 3.0, and I will ask Jimmy Markowski to speak.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Brown, the report begins on page 56 of your package this evening. With me, I have 2 guests this evening. I have Sean McCormack, our system lead for anti-oppression. And in the audience, we have Chris Conley. He'll be joining us as well. He's our manager for research and strategic analytics. I'm going to turn it over to Sean. He'll be walking us through the report on the student census. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, and through you, Chair. The purpose of this report is providing an update on the planning and implementation of the student census 3.0. Collecting this data is essential to achieving our shared multi-year strategic plan goals and ensuring that we make informed decisions. As you know, the Anti-Racism Act requires school boards to collect and analyze student identity data. This became mandatory on January 1st, 2023. The DDSB was amongst the first school boards in the GTA to begin this work, helping to establish provincial protocols. This year, 2026, marks our 3rd administration of the student census. The identity data collected through the census allows us to monitor and report on student achievement, outcomes, and experiences. It supports key initiatives such as our Compendium of Action for Black Student Success, the Compendium of Action for 2S LGBTQIA+ student, staff, and families, our School Achievement Plan, and the Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan. The Student Census 3.0 will follow the same secure process as previous years. For kindergarten to grade 6, parents and guardians will receive an email with a unique link for their child. For grades 7 to 12, students will receive their own email and unique ID, and time will be provided in class to complete the census. The census will be available in a variety of languages and also supported by translation tools available through web browsers. The census is voluntary and will open from February through August of 2026. This extended window was chosen to maximize participation and convenience for families. We're working alongside our Student Senate and trustees in preparation of promotional materials. Administering the Student Census 3.0 gives us an opportunity to better understand student identity, address disproportionate outcomes, and ensure that every student knows their voice and experiences matter. Thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions along with Chris.
Thank you. Are there any questions from trustees? Trustee Cowie?
Thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. In regards to LGBTQ students, you were saying that the census or the survey goes out to parents. How do you go about gauging that demographic for DDSB when it's going to the parents?
In the kindergarten to grade 6, parents will be completing the survey alongside their student. So whatever information they share is the information that will be for K to 6. Students themselves from 7 to 12. Actually, sorry. For K to 6, sexual orientation is not included in the K to 6 survey, but it is included in the 7 to 12 survey.
Trustee Thatcher?
Thank you. I was wondering if Trustee Cowan had a supplemental question. But I do have a question myself. Thank you, Sean, for the report. I was just looking at the sample size from 2019 to 2023, and it seems that the issue is generally with the grade 7 to 12 number of responses. I just wanted to make a comment about that because, of course, my question was going to be what plan is in place to improve this participation. But I noticed further on in the report that there were now the reports presented in 8 languages, which I believe is more than we did in the past. And quite a list, section 6.0, of some really, I thought were some really well thought out strategies. I don't think I saw it in there, but please correct me if I'm wrong. One of the things we did debrief after we heard the last report was to do a presentation to our Student Senate. And in speaking with our students, they had many really good ideas as to how we could remind students to complete that survey, high school students, and how helpful they could be with that. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Margaret Lazarus and myself did, as I say, meet with the Student Senate, and I think there may be an opportunity there. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Yes, it is, to the best of my knowledge, that Superintendent Leacock has already met with the Student Senate, and they provided a multitude of different ideas in which we can reach our grade 7 to 12 student population through modern ways of promotion, such as social media and other direct communication methods. So we're working alongside of them and working with our communications department to ensure that we can move some of those suggestions forward.
Trustee Panello?
Thank you, Chair. Through you. Thank you for the report and the update. This has been, I think, a long-standing conversation that we've been having in a couple different spaces. And so I guess my question builds off of Trustee Thatcher's in the rollout. I know there's been conversations and feedback from student trustees, from the Human Rights Committee, and from a number of other conversations that we've had in different places and spaces about how we are, for example, building time into the school day to ensure that students who want to participate can do so, whether it be educational assemblies or teachers are prepped to deliver an explanation of what the census is, why it's important to those pieces, because that was in some of the debrief and reflection from last time when we were looking at the stats. I wonder too if there has been, one, a compilation of sort of all of those suggestions that are being looked at. I think that would have been helpful for me just to see what was feasible, what was not, given the hope is to launch in February. And the other piece is, I know family engagement was really important because we were getting a lot of concerned emails and campaigns and pushbacks about what the census was, what was being asked, et cetera, et cetera. And there was a clear gap in perhaps educating families and parents about the who, what, why, where, and how. And so some of the suggestions that had come up was during parent-teacher interviews, having opportunities for families to hear firsthand exactly what you just told us, ask their questions, get a better understanding of who's receiving the census and why. And so I wondered, I guess, two-prong. One, is there a compilation of all the suggestions and feedback that have been given from the past debrief census to now? And two, are there sort of bucketed pathways that have been, or you expect to be finalized and in place for a February launch that include students, admin and teachers and staff, as well as families and community?
Yeah, thank you, and through you, Chair. We have been meeting very frequently over the course of the last several months, really fine-tuning a communication plan. So to answer your question directly, yes, there is a well-documented list of communication strategies that we have as a department, which include many of the suggestions that you just pointed out in terms of communication with families, staff members. Parent-teacher interviews was something that we have discussed as well. We are meeting as soon as this Friday as well, so we'll just reiterate those same plans and expectations to ensure that draw them all together.
Through you, Chair, I can also illuminate a little bit of the communication strategies that we'll be using to support this. We mentioned a multi-pronged channel engagement strategy that uses a mix of board-level, school-based, and student-driven channels to reach students where they already are. So some of the key tactics will include a short promotional video featuring diverse student voices, a sustained social media campaign with student-generated content. We believe that student-generated content is really important in creating student-level champions, so that kind of peer-to-peer communication. Regular features in PIC and SEAC newsletters for families, school promotion kits with ready-to-use materials such as announcements, posters, talking points, and classroom supports. This ensures consistency at the school system level while allowing flexibility at the school level. Enabling school educators with a focus on supporting principals, teachers, and school teams as champions of the census. Schools are provided with structured toolkits, guidance for classroom conversations, and opportunities to align census promotion with existing school activities such as Spirit Day and themed weeks. And the student focus activation includes a plan to introduce concepts such as themed weeks and a designated student census day, ideally aligned with school spirit activities. So the idea is to create moments of visibility, peer-to-peer encouragement, and a sense of shared purpose, positioning census participation as a collective and positive experience rather than just an administrative task that's been brought down by the classroom teacher.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from trustees? Thank you, Sean McCormick and Jimmy Markowski. We will now move to the multi-year strategic plan monthly report, the EQAO. And I will ask Superintendent Erin Elmhurst, Superintendent Mohammed Hamid, and Superintendent Stephen Neville.
Good evening, and through you, Chair. Tonight's report can be found on pages 62 to 73 of your package. And I'm pleased to share this report this evening on behalf of my teaching and learning colleagues. Tonight's multi-year strategic plan data report provides trustees with an overview of the 2024-2025 EQAO and OSSLT results, situated within the DDSB Student Achievement Plan, aligned with the DDSB multi-year strategic plan. As we know, EQAO is a valuable source of system and student level achievement data, but it does not stand alone. Results are considered alongside classroom assessments, report card data, student input, and indicators of engagement and well-being. This triangulated approach allows us to better understand both achievement outcomes and the broader learning experience of students within our system. Overall, the data we've shared with you reflects incremental progress, alongside areas requiring continued focus. At the primary level, grade 3 results improved incrementally across reading, writing, and math. Reading increased by 3 percentage points, and math by 2 compared to the previous year, with writing also showing a modest upward trend. These gains reflect our sustained emphasis on structured literacy, explicit instruction, and consistent foundational numeracy routines, and underscore the importance of maintaining a strong focus on early learning. At the junior level, grade 6 reading and writing showed slight improvement, while math decreased by 2 percentage points and remains an area for focused attention. Through the Math Achievement Plan, we are responding by strengthening instructional consistency in reasoning and problem solving, purposeful practice, and improving coherence across grades 3 to 6, so students experience mathematics as connected learning rather than isolated skills. Across grade level results, disaggregated data for multi-language learners and students with IEPs provides an important context. While achievement data remains for these groups demonstrate incremental improvement in several areas, particularly literacy, these patterns suggest that explicit instruction, targeted language supports, and appropriate accommodations are contributing to improved outcomes while also highlighting the need for continued focus and monitoring. At the secondary level, grade 9 math results increased by 5 percentage points, bringing DDSB closer to the provincial average. This improvement reflects strengthened 8 to 9 transitions and a sustained focus on supporting students with a de-streamed grade 9 mathematics experience. While these gains are encouraging, results still remain below the provincial average, and this will continue to be an area of focus. The qualitative student input collected through EQAO is additional important information that we need to spend time looking at. It further contextualizes achievement results. Small but positive increases were observed in students' sense of preparedness for the future, awareness of mental health supports, and feelings of connection to peers. These findings reinforce the importance of belonging, confidence, and well-being as essential conditions for learning and achievement. Taken together, these results affirm the direction outlined in the DDSB Student Achievement Plan and the DDSB Multi-Year Strategic Plan, and they inform ongoing system and school level planning. All of our next steps can be found on pages 69 to 70. And we will continue to focus on strengthening foundational literacy, deepening junior math instruction, supporting key transitions, and sustaining attention to student well-being. Thank you, and that is our report for information this evening.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from trustees? Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and for you, Chair, I have 2 questions for tonight. You talked a bit about improvements in percentage point from last year, but I noticed that the 2021, 2022, and 2022 and 2023 years often showed stronger marks than they did last year. So my first question is around what went right those years that we could be learning from before that drop-off. And my second question is on the math scores. I'm concerned that more people dropped from standard than rose to standard. And I'm wondering if we have an explanation for why people, despite the new supports that we've been adding, why more people are going backwards than forwards.
Thank you so much for your question, and through you, Chair. I can speak to the first part of your question, and then I'll pass it off to Superintendent Hamid for the second part of your question. And the first part was looking at those trends over time. And part of the reason we looked at the last 2 years is some of those may also have some COVID-related impacts. And also considering that every year is a different group of students. And so there will always be fluctuations from year to year, but we also recognize that there were some COVID trends in there. So it is difficult to say specifically what made the difference and changed. The other consideration is, of course, the change in modality of the test. And so it has shifted from being something that was, for grade 3s particularly, written to being completely online, which has also changed some of the experiences for students over time.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Specific to the point you raised, Trustee Cunningham, we do see that the junior grades, grade 6 in particular, reflects a bit of a learning shift in math. We start to move from foundational number concepts to more abstract number concepts in the junior division. And so what we're seeing is we are seeing a pattern that does mirror the provincial sort of trends. And while we are within 2 statistical points from the provincial average, it does keep us within the provincial average, mirroring that dip that we start to see. However, with the increase that we start to see proceeding to grade 9, we are seeing that strengthening that, as Aaron mentioned, that instructional consistency that we're seeing in classrooms through the focus on reasoning, explicit instruction, problem solving, specifically in the junior grades, and tightening some of the planning and coherence from grade 3, 4, 5, and 6. We start to build some of those, solidify some of those abstract concepts in their mind, to help them be able to understand that abstract thinking a little bit better. But it's definitely an area of focus for the Math Achievement Action Plan. And we are seeing some good gains within the priority schools where we are having a lot of the coaching support focused.
Trustee Morton.
Thank you, and through you. I have a question, I have a comment. I will first lead with my comment. I am sure that everyone is in agreement regarding mathematics. We all see that that is an area of need and requires much attention. And I like the statement, this remains a key area for focus as outlined in the Math Action Plan. Wonderful. But I do have another concern, and that is on page 68, student engagement and well-being. If you know me very well, and many of you do, social, emotional learning, well-being, mental health is extremely important. So in the chart titled, I feel connected to other students at my school, I'm looking at those numbers and I would like to see them much higher than they are. So grade 3 students, these are 8-year-olds, and only 58% of those 8-year-olds feel connected to their peers and their school community. To me, that's unsettling. And then to move to grade 6, grade 9, and secondary, we're less than 3/4 feeling part of the school community. So I'm just wondering what we can do, even though you state that the sense of belonging with their peers, it's most students, but I'm looking at the number who are not identifying well with their peers. What can we do about that?
I'm happy to start that conversation, and if any of the colleagues would like to jump in, please do so. So we are all in agreement, Trustee Morton, thank you, and through you, Chair, we're all in agreement with that statement around the well-being of students. One of the terms that you'll hear many of us refer to often is the conditions for learning in the classroom. And so we are spending a lot of time working with our school leaders around unpacking the conditions for learning in the classroom through John Hattie's visible learning work, where we've actually defined some parameters within which school leaders are gathering data through their walkthroughs and are sitting down doing the collaborative release date and examining that data, because we do know that engagement is a pathway to instruction. And when there's a bit of a barrier there, as that can be revealed by some of the trends and data that we're seeing here, we have to pay attention to that. So we are in agreement, and we are paying attention to that. And it is a focus of the mental health and well-being plan. It is a focus of our school achievement plan work, and you'll hear us refer to that language regularly. Conditions for learning.
Through you, Chair, if I may, just to add to that, not only are we taking that data seriously, but in our conversations when we visit schools, we're hearing from administrators about how it is that they are activating ideas to build that connection. And so in just a visit that I made last week, there was a principal who spoke and demonstrated input that came from the local staff with the students about how to improve that experience. So building on what our superintendents have shared from the point of view of our conversation here, we're also seeing that our administrators are also taking this data very seriously and looking at explicit and precise actions to improve that experience.
Trustee Thatcher.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a comment and a question. I know that our schools have a 2-hour math block at some point during the day. And I know there are special days where staff are released to focus on math projects. We seem to be devoting a lot of time to it. I'm just wondering, I guess this is my question, because I think we need some results, and we keep hearing, anyway, we need results, and we're not seeing them to this point. So I'm just wondering if there's been some consideration given to maybe reevaluating that 2-hour math block.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. So we do have a 60-minute math block in each school, Trustee Thatcher, and that is
60?
60-minute, right? And so that
My
is
mistake. Thank you.
Thank you. And so that is first of all, that is a ministry requirement. At the minimum, there is 60 minutes of uninterrupted math at the school. And so we are spending time examining what's happening during that math block to make sure that it is an uninterrupted math block. We are seeing some gains in grade 3. We are seeing some gains in grade 9 as well. So we are seeing some movement. There is some incremental pieces. We do know that we have to focus on the junior math. That is definitely an area where we are paying attention to. But we're also examining what is happening during that 60-minute block to make sure that there's the explicit instruction needed to allow students to not only demonstrate but understand the math skills, particularly in the junior grades when we move to that abstract thinking in math.
Are there any further questions from trustees? I will now move to, thank you. I will now move to the report approved minutes of the October 29, 2025 Governance and Policy Committee meeting. And I will hand this over to Trustee Miller.
Through you, Chair, I'm bringing forward the approved minutes of the October 29, 2025 Governance and Policy Committee meeting, and I'd be happy to take any questions from trustees.
Are there any questions from trustees? I will now move to 11H, the report, approved minutes of the November 6th and December 4th, 2025 Special Education Advisory Committee meeting. and I will ask Trustee Edwards.
Thank you. As noted, the two sets of minutes from November 6th and December 4th can be found on pages 80 to 96. I just wanted to point out that a significant actual amount of time was where we had a staff report actually on supporting student mental health and well-being at our November meeting. But we also spent a significant amount of time reviewing the Inclusive Student Services website and looking at providing feedback on the structure and some of the things that we would like to see to make information more readily available, easily accessible to our parents. And then we've also had some time in the previous meeting talking about, in the December meeting, besides having our organizational meeting, was to have talk about the gifted program, in particularly sort of the progress. We've set up a working group. There's going to be some listening tours that are going to be happening in our gifted programs to hear from the students about some of the effectiveness of the programs and things that are that they see of value. All this information, as well as providing basically a survey that will go out to all parents of students with children who are identified as gifted, both in the mainstream and the small class placements. To basically, again, looking at looking at the gifted programs and the services that are provided to our students. So they've been working really, really hard in providing feedback for a lot of the programs within the board. Thank you.
Are there any questions from trustees? I will now move to the OPSPA update. Trustee Edwards and Trustee Miller. Trustee Edwards.
There's really not much to report. Basically, the Public Education Symposium is coming up the end of next week with various presenters around accessibility, around governance, around a lot of different topics. So looking forward to reporting on that when the next meeting. Thank you.
Are there any questions from trustees? Okay, we will move to dates of significance. DDSB dates of significance calendar is made up of faith and creed, cultural recognition, and professional and social recognized dates. The full listing for this month and next is included in the agenda package. The upcoming protected dates of significance are Lunar New Year, which is February 17th, and also February 17th is also the start of Ramadan. Seeing no further business, can I please have a mover and seconder to adjourn this meeting? Trustee Arsenault and Vice Chair Oldfield, thank you. All in favour? Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.